already know that he has speed, he's got power. I know he's moving up in weight class, can he carry it? You know, but those intangibles, I believe that he has them.
Look at, and then Canelo's older. Crawford has the ability, but he's small, you know, and he can look bigger in. Crawford could look bigger in the weigh-ins and all that stuff, but it's always a difference. When you get that fight with somebody, you can tell. Same thing with Jamel. Jamel fought him, the twin. He fought Crawford, and in all the stuff, the weigh-ins and the press conference.
Too fast and too smart for Canelo. Even Canelo is a good boxer. I'm not saying like nothing from not taking nothing from Canelo.
Canelo. Teddy Atlas has provided his candid analysis of what is being dubbed the biggest fight of the year, Canelo versus Crawford. Regardless the weight class, Atlas thinks Terence Crawford has what it takes to prevail, praising his abilities, self-control, and flexibility. He contends that Canelo Álvarez is no longer the same fighter he was, asserting that the Mexican sensation has lost the fervor and drive that defined him. Atlas claims that Canelo is overpriced in comparison to Crawford, and that his recent performances have declined. Crawford is Atlas' favorite to win because of his incisiveness and motivation.
That the urgency's not there, the fire's not there. At least it wasn't there a week ago. At least I say that. It wasn't there a week ago. Maybe it'll be there now. Maybe he's the kind of guy that, and I get it, that at this point in their career, it has to be a big fight to get up. That Canelo can't get up for these fights. He couldn't get up for that fight. All right. If you want to go down that road, go ahead. But my road is still possible. That he got old, that it just doesn't have that fire no more. Oh my God, I'm going to say this one. That maybe he's a little overrated. I listen, I know he's tremendous. He's tremendous. But could he be a tiny bit overrated? If you look at some of his biggest fights, the fights where you had to be great to win, that you fought great fighters or near great fighters, you know, you can make the argument that he lost the first Triple G. You know, he didn't embarrass himself, but he got a draw. Second one, you can make the argument he lost that. I know it was a different kind of fight, and he got better. But you can make that. You can make the argument he lost to Lara. He did lose to Mayweather. You can make the argument he was too young in his career. Maybe. Although it wasn't that young. He turned pro when he was 15 or 16.
Mean Machine, a fighter who has sparred with Terence Crawford, is adamant that Crawford's bout against Canelo Álvarez won't be decided by size. He contends that Crawford is too intelligent for Canelo because of his significantly superior skill set and intelligence inside the ring. He believes that Crawford's superior ring IQ, versatility, and timing in every bout outweigh any disparity in weight or natural size. Mean maintains that Crawford is among his generation's greatest strategic combatants. Regardless of their physical advantages, opponents can be dismantled and adjusted mid-fight. He characterizes Crawford as having the ability to exert control, rhythm, distance, and pace, factors that frequently are more important than size alone. He believes that the fighter with the sharper tools wins this bout, and it's obviously Terence Crawford.
It's not good for Crawford. Canelo's too big. Right now, my position changed. I think Crawford is too fast and too smart for Canelo. Even Canelo is a good boxer. I'm not saying like nothing from not taking nothing from Canelo, but the way when you see oh, he's too big, when you see Usyk fights and what Usyk did to the big guys like Joshua and Fury, so the size and that doesn't matter. I think the skill level matters, and Crawford, he gained weight, but I think he's gonna be even faster, and his head was good in the ring. His boxing IQ is just on top. So I would say 50-50, but right now I'm kind of leaning more to Crawford.
And that's just because of what you saw Usyk do?
It's not I'm just giving an example, size doesn't matter in the boxing. When they say Canelo is big and he's fighting 175, 168, and Crawford just moving from 147, 154. So I'm just putting an example that size doesn't matter, and that the fighter makes the fight. I think it's just that I see that Crawford's training and that he's big too right now. So he gained weight, but not like, and lots of people gain weight like that sloppy weight, like I would say like fat, but he looked like strong, massively strong. So I think it's gonna be a good one.
How did Terence feel physically when you faced him? Like, how is his strength? Because yeah, a lot of people do make the point that Canelo's just maybe too big, too powerful for Crawford.
Crawford, I wouldn't say like his punches was like super strong, but his timing and accuracy is what makes difference.
Mean Machine makes a strong analogy between Canelo Alvarez's 2013 fight against Floyd Mayweather and impending Terence Crawford versus Alvarez matchup. Canelo was younger and less experienced at the time, and Mayweather taught him better ring generalship, speed, and defense. Mean Machine thinks Crawford can imitate a similar tactic by frustrating Canelo and depriving him of his most powerful weapons through mobility, accuracy, and deft counterpunching. He does, however, recognize one significant distinction. Canelo has a lot more experience now, not more than he did in the past. Canelo has met and overcome top opponents throughout the years, gained flexibility, and cultivated patience. Qualities that were absent from a Mayweather bout.
Throw hard, but they just throw. I mean, he throws like his calculation for the punches and like timing and aiming to the right spots is just like on another level.
Do you think that's going to be the thing that complicates the fight the most for Canelo?
I think so, yeah. And like, yeah, we can go back a little bit to Mayweather Canelo, and Canelo was young and like Mayweather smart, but it can be like familiar fight like that. Even Canelo right now have more experience, and Crawford is still on his prime. So yeah, we will see.
From just your experience, you knowing boxing, like how do you think the fight will play out? Do you think it'll be a slow fight? Do you think it'll be tactical? Like, do you think Crawford?
I think it's gonna start a little bit slowly. They're gonna be careful with each other just to kind of like measure each other and see where they at. And like they're like, that's why like they're like champs and they're like great ones. They just don't go like crazy like from the third.
Regis Prograis presents an other viewpoint. The former world champion denies that Canelo Álvarez, a naturally larger boxer with granite skin, will be impacted in any way by Crawford's strikes. Prograis claims that Canelo has taken blows from some of the most vicious boxers, fighters who are shown to be almost unstoppable and who are inherently bigger than Crawford. Prograis does not, however, rule out Crawford entirely, although he raises concerns about Crawford's influence. He also recognizes the Nebraska star's superior skill strategy and willpower. Crawford, in his opinion, has world-class technique and a capacity to, even for someone as strong as Canelo, he is a dangerous opponent because he can change positions and carry out perfect game plans.
I think that Crawford has the ability to outbox Canelo. You got to look at, and then Canelo's older. Crawford has the ability, but he's small, and he can look bigger Crawford could look bigger in the weigh-ins and all that stuff, but it's always a difference. When you get that fight with somebody, you can tell. Same thing with Jamel. Jamel fought him, the twin. He fought Crawford, and in all the stuff, the weigh-ins and the press conference, Jamel looked like the bigger man. His head, his neck, everything looked bigger. But when they got in the fight, you can tell. You can see who really was the bigger man. And I think that's the same thing. Crawford is putting on weight, but it's not weight. Like Canelo had the weight already. He doesn't have to put on muscle. He doesn't have to do that. He's already big like that. But I think that Crawford does have the style. He does have the style to beat him. If you look at the people that beat him or gave him troubles, Irislan, De Lara, Austin Trout, Floyd, and Bivol, they gave him trouble and stuff like that. And Skull moved around a little bit too. So I think that Crawford has that. But I don't know how Crawford is gonna respond when he gets hit. Same thing with Jamel. Jamel was undisputed at 154, and Canelo hit him and shit. Jamel was like, hell no. Jamel took a knee. So it's a big difference. And Crawford had that one fight at 154, and he didn't. Madrimov would touch him up a little bit. And this is nowhere close to Madrimov. You talk about Canelo. Now, if it was just another bigger guy, I would go with Crawford. But you talk about great. This might be, people might kill me for it, but well, not really. But this might be the best Mexican fighter ever. One of them, at least, right?
Progress skepticism is echoed by Jose Vargas Jr., who has sparred with Terence Crawford. Vargas freely admits that after feeling Crawford's punches during a spar, he doesn't think Crawford can harm Canelo. He acknowledges that although Crawford is accurate and nimble, he may not be strong enough to pose a significant threat to Canelo's bulk and stamina. Vargas notes that Alvarez has encountered and withstood the might of considerably more powerful opponents, which begs the question of whether Crawford is capable of creating the same kind of threat. Vargas does not, however, completely discount Crawford. He understands that having power isn't everything. Even the most resilient combatants can be defeated by timing, accuracy, and consistency. However, he believes that Crawford's shots may not be able to support enough weight to stop Canelo from relentlessly pushing forward.
Gonna be done in camp.
You know, all we're doing is putting the final touches. I mean, I've been sparring Ron Ellis. I mean, this guy is a dog, bro. He's been getting me ready. I mean, he's been Canelo's sparring partner. Shout out to my guy Ron, man. He comes, tries to knock me out every single sparring. This guy fights at 68, big dude, goes southpaw, and hits hard. So I know he fought Benavidez. So you know, he's a veteran, and he's doing veteran tactics in there where he's not letting me rest in the clinch. He's making me work every second of every round. And I got something for Callum. I got something for the whole boxing world. And, you know, I feel you're just as good as your preparation. And we've been doing the road work. We've been doing the mountain work. I've been recovering hard. I've been getting my rest. You know, I haven't been drinking no dark sodas, bro. I'm feeling like Tyson Fury right now, bro. Like,
Mickey Bay adopts a more divisive position, calling Canelo Álvarez a prick for agreeing to the fight with Terence Crawford. According to Bay, Alvarez has frequently been picky about his opponents, looking for the ideal moment or size advantage. In this instance, Bay thinks Canelo viewed Crawford as a lesser fighter who was gaining weight, which made the bout advantageous for him physically. This opinion has been supported by boxing critics, who contend that Alvarez is using his stature and strength to outmaneuver a man who is inherently lighter. Bay emphasizes how fans and commentators have reacted negatively to this narrative, questioning whether the matchup is fair. In spite of the criticism, Bay admits that Crawford is too good to be dismissed. Even if Canelo shows up as a larger guy, Crawford's cunning and flexibility could change the course of events.
That size comparison type of a thing to make it seem like it's not a type of cherry pick that he has to go up into this battle.
No, he a lot bigger. See, people looking at height. Height don't got nothing to do with weight and where you've been fighting at. Like, Terence put his weight on, so it's a difference. No, Canelo's a lot bigger, like, hands down. Like, just mass, as far as mass. He naturally that thick. You know, he got to come down. Terence, just because your weight is up there, that don't mean that. That's like putting a dude, Benavidez, as a heavyweight. He might walk around at 205 or whatever. That don't mean he a heavyweight though. So Canelo is by far the bigger man. We didn't seen him hit dudes 6'3", 6'2" in the arm and hurt him. Like, he didn't hurt Kovalev, light heavyweight. So I mean, didn't he have a light heavyweight title?
Well, when he fought Kovalev?
Just period at light heavyweight. Didn't Canelo win the light? Did he?
Nah, he just Kovalev. That's it.
Oh, okay. Well, he might have only fought there a couple times, but the fact that he fought up there though, and he fought way up at light heavyweight, but he been at super middleweight for a minute, so he the bigger guy for sure. So really, he got to hurt Crawford, or he got to get his major respect. He got to get his major respect to make Crawford feel like he got to survive. If he can't do that, then he probably ain't gonna win.
Do you feel like you was talking about Crawford, he needs to poke his way out of this fight, right? We've seen that, you know, Crawford's been lined up by lots of fighters. Not Errol Spence, of course, but other fighters that was able to line up with shots that don't necessarily hit like a Canelo. Now, Canelo gonna line you up regardless, right?
Tom Lafleur presents one another viewpoint, emphasizing the spectacle of Canelo versus Crawford rather than justice. Lafleur, a promoter, believes that this bout is among the most marketable in contemporary boxing. He highlights that two of the top stars in the sport are Terence Crawford and Canelo Álvarez. Each has devoted worldwide fan bases that cut over national boundaries, cultural boundaries, and demographic divides. According to Lafleur, battles of this caliber take place outside of the arena. They attract casual viewers who might not otherwise watch boxing and grab public attention.
Actually being in the ring on such a high-profile show, it's huge. It doesn't get any bigger than that, and you know, you got to give credit to both guys. They're both very confident. They both have very passionate fan bases. You know, Callum, you know, having fought in Dublin, packed the arena out there, the 3 Arena, having fought at Madison Square Garden 3 times, fought in Boston, and then Fernando Jr., you know, from one of the biggest boxing named families, you know, in the history of boxing. He's going to bring out a huge fan base. So it's a really exciting addition to, you know, such a big show that like I said, doesn't get any bigger than that for sure.
I agree. I think that you, along with me, have seen some of these criticisms of the undercard. But really, when you look at it, I mean, we both know Callum Walsh so well. The personality and the authenticity that he brings to this sport is just so sincere. He's so real, you know, being from Ireland, coming overseas to train and dedicate his life to this craft. And his personality is so magnetic that it obviously brought someone like Dana White to be a huge supporter of him. I think in these weeks leading up to the fight, you know, the fighting public who does not know Callum Walsh is really going to fall in love with him, especially, you know, by fight night.
Turki Alshik, a Saudi boxing power broker, is renowned for having pushed for Canelo versus Crawford to become a reality. Although Alshik's financial support and influence have enabled dream fights, analysts contend that not all of them are necessarily the best matches. Critics point out the stark disparity in natural size in this instance, implying that Crawford may have been seriously disadvantaged from the beginning. They contend that demand and spectacle, not just competitiveness, were the driving forces for the war. However, Alshik's contribution cannot be disregarded. This fight probably wouldn't have happened without him. His ability to unite 2 of the most valued boxing stars demonstrates his influence in forming the sport's current landscape. His vision guarantees that fans worldwide will be able to watch a once-in-a-generation event, regardless of whether it is the correct fight.
And Benavidez Jr., Canelo, you know, would have mopped up all of these dudes, bro. Would have mopped up all of these dudes. Like, you know, when we're coming out and saying that this is a complete mismatch and this is a joke and this is a fantasy fight, you know what I'm saying, that Turki Alashik dreamed of, and we know he's a big Crawford fan, knowing, you know, the level of star power that Canelo Álvarez has, and he had the bag to make this fight happen. It doesn't mean that it's a logical fight for boxing, bro. At the end of the day, man, you know, you guys tell me if Terence Crawford would have beat Triple G. Tell me if he would have beat Billy Joe Saunders. Tell me if he could beat Bivol, even though, yeah, Canelo didn't beat Bivol, but tell me if he could have beat a Sergey Kovalev. And the other loss Canelo has to Mayweather, man. Crawford, you know, nobody in the world, I felt, could have beat Mayweather in the height of his career, bro. Tell me if Crawford, bro, would have just flat out went in there and beat a guy like Miguel Cotto, Daniel Jacobs. You know what I'm saying, bro? Like, it's the level of competition that Canelo faced, man. And these dudes that he went in there to beat. You know, Terence Crawford is nowhere, you know, has fought nowhere near the level of competition that Canelo Álvarez has fought. And I've had some comments talking about, you know, you talk about we're going off of our emotions and you're going off of your emotions. You're not giving no facts, bro. Like, this is all facts right here, bro. The fact of the matter is, bro, Canelo Álvarez has fought at light heavyweight. The fact of the matter is, Terence Crawford has only fought once at 154 pounds. And the fact of the matter is, he was getting touched up by those right hands all night, bro. By Majumov. That's the fact, bro. The biggest, most dominating fight he ever had was against Errol Spence.
Terry Crawford's adaptability has long been lauded by trainer Dave Coldwell, who thinks it will be crucial against Canelo Álvarez. Few fighters have the advantage that Crawford does because he can fight comfortably from both the orthodox and southpaw positions. Crawford employs this ability to establish angles, break rhythm, and keep opponents guessing, as noted by Coldwell. He also emphasizes Crawford's footwork, which enables him to move fluidly in and out of range and stay out of a corner. This mobility might be the difference against Canelo, who thrives in severing the ring and applying pressure. According to Coldwell, if Crawford can keep his gap, shift laterally, and stop Terry Crawford's adaptability has long been lauded by trainer Dave Coldwell, who thinks it will be crucial against Canelo Álvarez. Few fighters have the advantage that Crawford does because he can fight comfortably from both the orthodox and southpaw positions. Crawford employs this ability to establish angles, break rhythm, and keep opponents guessing, as noted by Coldwell. He also emphasizes Crawford's footwork, which enables him to move fluidly in and out of range and stay out of a corner. This mobility might be the difference against Canelo, who thrives in severing the ring and applying pressure. According to Coldwell, if Crawford can keep his gap, shift laterally, and stop Canelo.
From when the fight got made, I've always fancied Crawford. I just think it's different. I think there's something about him. I think if you add what Crawford's good at, his brain, he can switch. He's very good as a southpaw. His judgment of distance is fantastic. His punch picking is fantastic. He's got good legs. When you add what, and he can pop. I mean, listen, he might. I'm not saying he's got the power to hurt Canelo, but he might have the power to surprise Canelo a little bit and just sting him and just. But when you look at what Crawford does well, and then I look at this version of Canelo, as Canelo's got on, his punch rate's gone down.
That concludes the video for today. Keep an eye out. Till the next time,